Good afternoon. You're on the journey home. We're live in Santa Fe Public Radio studios here at 101.1 FM, also on the web at ksfr.org with podcasts available at diegoradio.com. And I'd like to welcome Drew Tulchin from Social Enterprise Net to join us to talk about some entrepreneurial things for nonprofits and small businesses here in the Santa Fe area. Welcome, Drew. Great to have you with us again. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me back on.
Sure. So you're in a car racing to the airport in Washington, D.C., and I hope the heck you're not driving.
No, I'm not. Thank you. I'm trying to be as safe as possible, and I apologize if the sound quality's bad.
No,
I always
okay.
enjoy coming on your show and want to contribute and support. We've got some exciting new news to share for small businesses and nonprofits.
Yeah, well, let's get right to it. The SBA ARC program is something that might be good if you've got an SBA loan or you're anticipating, wanting to get one. Tell us a little bit about that, would you please?
Sure. So the United States Small Business Administration, or SBA, as part of the ARC, which I couldn't tell you quite what it stands for, but it's basically Obama's stimulus plan and their recovery efforts. Mm-hmm. And they have announced a really great opportunity for microloans. These are the small loans up to $35,000, and any business can qualify. You have to be a business. And there's certain criteria which might not make it valuable for everyone, but it's a really good deal if you do qualify because it can give you interest-free money for 6 months and then interest-only payments for another year. Uh-huh. So that's really good situation for small businesses to help them grow and help them survive the current economic situation.
Now, is that available to new startups as well as existing businesses?
Sadly, the rules just came out, and to be honest, it's a little confusing. So the best thing for people to do is if they have a banker, to go talk to them and see if they're doing SBA Express loans. If they don't have a banker, go into a bank in town. For example, Santa Fe has a lot of really good community local banks. Mm-hmm. New Century Bank, for example, is doing a lot, but many of our other banks also are doing these works. Now, some of the banks don't like it, so not everyone has chosen to participate, but they can still use the SBA products and the SBA things called SBA Express, SBA 504 if it's real estate. So it doesn't hurt to ask, and getting information and educating oneself is always a good strategy in this economic situation. You might find some opportunities, if not for now, then for the future.
Uh-huh. So Drew, one of the biggest challenges that small businesses have right now is their cash flow and financing, purchases of inventory and stuff in a market that's a little unpredictable and in a credit market that seems to have just been sort of closed down. How do you get around that? What are some suggestions that you might have for that?
Yeah, so you're bringing up a good point. First of all, you and I talked earlier today about the fact that credit is frozen, and we hope that will alleviate soon. It's got to, because banks can't go on. Right now, it's part of the process, and kind of the economic problems are feeding on themselves, but we do think that people are going to lend soon, and then when they do, we want to be prepared for it. So that's kind of a preamble. And one thing people can do is some of the kind of vitamin stuff that no one likes to do but is good for you. And by that I mean you can still be protecting your credit score. To specifically answer your question, one thing that I'm really advising clients to do, and anyone who wants to listen to me, is one of the challenges both for nonprofits and for businesses is we pay our bills quickly and then we don't get paid for a long time.
Yeah.
So one thing they can do is manage your cash flow. And by that I mean go to all your vendors, the people you're writing checks for, and find out how long you have before they charge you a fee. Mm-hmm. And if they charge you a fee, maybe ask if they'll give you if you can get a discount for paying off early. Mm-hmm. And find out what that fee is, because sometimes even the fee might be worth it. Uh-huh. It might be less than your credit card and so forth. And then on where you're getting money from, your income, go to those folks and make sure that they can pay quickly. So invoice them promptly. I know a lot of nonprofits, for example, and businesses are often having to wait 60, 90 days, and that's going to kill us. So invoice promptly, go talk to them, figure it out, maybe get a bank transfer so you can get electronic payments instead of waiting for a check. And then the other thing is maybe even offer a discount. So again, just as you might offer, in the old days, I think the grocers would offer the 2/30, and they would give a 2% discount if you paid cash within 30 days. Mm-hmm. We might be going back to some of those old but good times in the positive sense, not just the negative sense of the 1930s, as some people think about the economic situation.
Uh-huh. Well, you've talked a little bit about some things for regular businesses, but what about nonprofit entrepreneurial organizations, say social enterprises, and I know this is right down your alley here.
Yeah.
What is an L3C?
So an L3C is actually something that's very the United States. It's not a legal designation, but it's something that people are starting to talk about. And the concept is actually for for-profits, and it's a for-profit nonprofit. And by that I mean it's a for-profit corporate entity, for example, an LLC, a limited liability corporation, but that it's explicitly set up so that any profits are there for social value and will be taken and recycled into the company, reinvested, or will be used for other community development purposes. And so there can be profits, there can be dividends, but all of those are going to help triple bottom line or social value efforts.
Mm-hmm. Well, that sounds good.
Yeah, and the history of this, do we have time?
Yeah.
Okay, so the history of this is there are a circle of people in the United States in some of the traditional areas like Santa Fe, Boulder, Burlington, Vermont, who have thought about this idea as we want to use the power of the marketplace. We want to use banks and businesses and run a profitable business, but we want to let people know that it's a social value. You know, Ben and Jerry's at its extreme, for example, in the early days, and things like that. And so they want to have their cake and eat it too. And Mohammed Yunus of the Grameen Bank, who won the Nobel Peace Prize a couple of years ago, has been talking about this. And in Bangladesh, they have some really interesting examples where Grameen Bank, which is a microfinance organization, and for disclaimer, I was affiliated with Grameen Foundation for a few years, they partnered with Danone, the French-European multi-conglomerate, which amongst other things does yogurt. And so they've started to create a highly nutritious, low-cost product for yogurt. And to go a step further, they're starting to use smallholder farmers who can contribute milk to making this yogurt. So it's the idea of doing a social value for a social purpose, and any profit from this joint venture business is going to be dedicated for social purposes, either to go back to that business or for other child nutrition purposes.
Oh, that sounds really great. And now quickly, because we're running out of time, the new person-to-person process whereby people traditionally in this country have funded microloan programs in developing countries, but this is now working within North America itself. Can you spend just 30 seconds on that, please, sir?
Yes. So another source of finance for people is P2P lending, which is peer-to-peer. It's the idea of like an eBay, but for a chance to get capital. So if you have a good need for money that other people might gravitate towards, you could look up something called prosper.com. Kiva, which is an international organization, is also doing it in the United States through Accion. And there's 2 or 3 others. You just have to Google and look it up. But caveat emptor, be wary, be careful, and you get what you pay for sometimes. But it's a good opportunity for people to get some money.
All righty. Well, thanks so much for joining us today, Drew, and we'll see you in Santa Fe again sometime soon, I hope.
Great, or find us online at socialenterprise.net. Thanks so much, as always, Diego. You do a great job.
Okay, thank you. You too. Socialenterprise.net. Drew Tulchin from Santa Fe on his way back, I think, to our fair city. He's just pulling up to the airport in Washington, D.C.